They called it wrong, but it's the only thing that ever felt right. The day everything changed. I still remember the day my mother got remarried. The wind was thick with southern heat. Cicadas buzzed in the trees like they knew something was about to shift. And there I was, standing stiff in a linen shirt that didn't fit right, watching my whole life change from the third row of folding chairs. I was 17, old enough to know what loss felt like, but not old enough to understand what it meant to start over. My mom met Greg online. A dad of one, widowed, quiet, kind. They hit it off fast. Too fast, if you ask me. Within a year, we were packing boxes and moving into his house. A beige, two-story place with creaky stairs and walls filled with someone else's memories. That's where I met Aiden, Greg's son. My new stepbrother. He was the first person I saw that day, standing by the back porch, tall, broad-shouldered, arms crossed like he was guarding something fragile inside himself. From the second our eyes met, I knew we both felt the same. Uncertain. I walked over, slow. "I'm Miles." He looked at my hand, then at my face. Aiden. No handshake, just a name. Like he wasn't ready to let anyone in yet. The first week was quiet. He stayed in his room. I stayed in mine. We crossed paths like ghosts at the fridge, in the hallway, outside by the trash cans. No fights. No shouting. Just silence. The kind that makes your mind fill in the blanks with stories that aren't true. I thought he hated me. Thought I reminded him of everything that changed. Then came that night. It was storming, the kind of storm that makes the walls shake. Thunder cracked like a warning. The power went out. No lights. No air. No distractions. Just rain and the creak of floorboards. I opened my door for a candle and found Aiden already in the hallway. Flashlight in hand, hair a mess. For the first time, we laughed. Just a quick, nervous laugh that said, "Guess we're in this together." We went downstairs and lit candles across the kitchen. He pulled out an old bag of marshmallows. "Wanna play blackout games? Like when we were kids?" I blinked. "You serious? Got anything better to do?" So we sat on the floor, tossing marshmallows into a mixing bowl from 6 feet away. Every time one of us missed, the other got to ask a question. Favorite movie? Most embarrassing moment? Hardest day of your life? He told me about his mom, how her laugh used to shake picture frames, how Greg didn't start smiling again until he met my mom. I told him how I missed the sound of my old house at night, the hum of the fridge, the creak of the floorboards that reminded me I wasn't alone. That night, the storm outside felt smaller than the one inside us. Two strangers learning to trust again. By morning, the lights came back on. But something had already shifted. After that, Aiden wasn't distant anymore. He'd knock on my door when dinner was ready, leave dumb notes on my desk, tease me when I overslept. It was simple, but it meant everything. We became brothers, not by blood, but by choice. The kind of bond built from shared silence and the unspoken understanding of what it's like to lose and start again. One Friday, our parents went out. Aiden knocked on my door. "You hungry?" "Not really." He paused. "Wanna drive? Get lost a little?" 10 minutes later, we were on the road, windows down, music low, the world quiet around us. For the first time, it didn't feel like we were two families stitched together. Felt like one. We ended up at an old park outside town. Empty swings, cold air, stars peeking through the clouds. "Bet I can still swing higher than you," he said, smirking. "You've literally never seen me swing." "Exactly. That's why it's still a bet." We laughed. Really laughed. The kind that comes from your chest and leaves everything else lighter. When we finally stopped, we sat on the edge of the sandbox, staring at the sky. "You ever think," he said quietly, "that we were meant to meet? Even like this?" I nodded. "Yeah. Maybe family isn't about who you lose or gain. Maybe it's about who stays." He smiled at that, soft, real. For once, the silence between us didn't hurt. It healed. We drove home without music. The wind carried everything we didn't say, and that was enough. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was confused, but because I finally understood what it meant to belong again. Aiden wasn't just Greg's son anymore. He was my brother. My reminder that family isn't always chosen in the ways we expect, but sometimes it's exactly what we need. What would you do if the person you once saw as a stranger became the reason you believed in family again? And when we finally pulled back, everything changed. Not broken, not ruined, just real. Real and terrifying. We didn't sleep that night, not really. We just lay there side by side, quiet hearts learning a new rhythm. Two souls the world would never understand, trying to believe that love didn't need permission, only courage. Because sometimes the heart doesn't care how two people meet. It only cares that they did. The days after the kiss were strange. Not bad, not electric, just different. Like walking through a house that used to be yours. But now every wall listens. Every door sighs. Every silence has meaning. We didn't talk about what happened. Not directly. Not yet. But our pauses grew heavier. Every small word carried a hidden echo. Pass the salt meant I can't stop thinking about last night. What time is dinner? Meant will you be here later? And when he said good night, I heard everything he couldn't say out loud. I waited for guilt to find me, for the shame that's supposed to come after something forbidden. But it never did. Instead, for the first time in months, maybe ever, I felt calm. Like something inside me had finally landed. Found its home. But life doesn't pause for feelings to figure themselves out. The next week, his grandmother came to visit. Sharp eyes, polite smile, the kind that noticed everything. Her presence filled the house like quiet pressure. So we kept our distance. No late-night talks. No quiet laughs. No drifting into each other's space. Pretending it was normal felt heavier than any secret. One night, we passed each other in the hallway. His hand brushed mine just for a second. A flicker of warmth, a tiny spark. But it felt like fire. Too dangerous. Too bright. Too exposed. Because she was right there, and one mistake could set everything ablaze. So we wrote instead. Little notes hidden in pockets, under coffee mugs, inside old books. Missed you today. Your hoodie still smells like smoke. Dreamed of you. I'd memorize them, then tear them up, because paper wasn't safe. Not for love like this. Still, we found ways to breathe between the walls. A glance across the dinner table. A brush of feet beneath the couch. A hug that lingered 1 second too long. Love lived in whispers, not words. Then one morning, the calm cracked. I woke to the sound of arguing, low, tense. My mother and her partner. Something about closeness, about confusion. I froze on the stairs when I heard it. You think I haven't noticed how close they've gotten? My heart stopped. Silence followed. Then her voice, sharp but trying to sound calm. They're just kids. You're reading too much into it. But the seed was already planted, and I knew, someone suspected. Someone was watching. That afternoon, I found him in the garage, his safe place. He looked up when I entered. You heard them. I nodded. They know. He sat down, running his hand through his hair. I knew this would happen. Just didn't think it'd be so soon. Then, after a long pause, he whispered, maybe we should stop. I froze. My chest tightened. I wanted to say no, to fight, to promise we could keep this safe, but words wouldn't come. Because maybe he was right. Maybe this was a flame too wild to hold. He stood, came closer, and said quietly, I don't want to lose you. Then don't. I breathed. I'm not. I'm just scared. Me too. He rested his forehead against mine, the air thick with everything we couldn't say. If this ends, he whispered, it won't be because we didn't care. We didn't kiss. We didn't move. We just stood there, in the smell of old wood and gasoline, letting the fear exist between us, because pretending it wasn't there would only make it worse. The next few days felt cautious, every step measured. Even his grandmother noticed. You two aren't joined at the hip lately, she said one morning. Everything all right? He forced a smile. Yeah, just school. She didn't believe him. I could tell. Then something unexpected happened. A family night. Pizza, a movie, no phones, mandatory smiles. I wanted to disappear. We sat on opposite sides of the couch, but our feet touched once, just barely, and somehow that tiny spark was enough. Later that night, I found a note under my door. Meet me in the shed. 2 a.m. I didn't sleep. At 1:59, I slipped outside. The shed smelled like pine and rain. He was already there, a candle flickering between us. His eyes were soft but steady. He pulled an envelope from his bag. I wrote something, he said. What is it? Everything I can't say out loud. He handed it to me. I opened it slowly, reading line by line. Each word felt heavy, like truth pressed into paper. It wasn't just a confession. It was love. Quiet, scared, beautiful love. He didn't speak while I cried. He just pulled me close, held me like I mattered, and whispered, I didn't plan this, but I don't want to lose it either. Neither did I. So there, in the soft dark of that shed, we made a promise to keep choosing each other, one quiet day at a time, even if it hurt, even if it didn't last forever. Because sometimes, love isn't about what's allowed. It's about what feels like home. And he was mine even if no one else could see it. Aiden stepped toward me, but her voice stopped him. Don't make this harder than it is. I looked at her, really looked, and asked quietly, do you think we're wrong? She hesitated. No. But sometimes love isn't enough to hold everything together. Aiden left the next morning. No goodbyes, no closure, just the sound of bags sliding down the hallway and a car door shutting like a final breath. I stood at the window watching him fade. I didn't cry, didn't scream. I just stood there, watching the one person who felt like home being taken away, like something beautiful people didn't understand. That night I went into his room. Empty shelves, bare desk, sheets stripped clean. Only one thing left, a folded piece of paper on the pillow with my name written on it in his handwriting. I opened it with trembling fingers. I didn't leave. I was sent away. But I'll find my way back to you, no matter what they say. I read it again and again, then tucked it under my pillow because it wasn't over. Not yet. Not if we didn't let it be. The days after felt hollow. The house was quiet, almost grieving. No music, no laughter, no footsteps at 1 a.m., just silence and me in a room that still smelled like him. People tried to distract me. Conversations, invitations, fake smiles, but no one asked how I was really doing. Maybe they already knew. Maybe they were scared of the answer. I kept Aiden's note under my pillow, reading it every night like a prayer. Something sacred, something still alive. School was worse. Everyone noticed he was gone, but no one asked why. I made up stories, something about family, travel, anything that wasn't the truth. Because the truth was too fragile, too real. Then one afternoon, I opened my locker. A note. No name, no envelope, just folded paper. I recognized the handwriting instantly. You still wear that hoodie. That makes me feel less gone. My heart stuttered. He'd been here. Close enough to see me, but not close enough to stay. I spent the rest of the day searching. Halls, cafeteria, parking lot. But he was already gone. So I wrote him back. Same paper. Same locker. I wear it because it still smells like your laugh. Days passed. Then another note. I dream about that night. Your voice saying don't go. I didn't want to. That's how we survived. Small messages hidden in places no one else looked. We became pen pals in a world that wanted us quiet. No phones. No calls. No texts. Just paper, ink, and memory. But slowly, something changed. I began to miss the version of myself that wasn't afraid. The me who laughed without guilt. Who didn't flinch at the word love. I wondered if he missed that version of himself too. One night I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my bike and rode through the dark to his grandmother's house. Every second felt like forever. I threw a pebble at his window. Then another. Nothing. My heart pounded and then, finally, the curtain shifted. He was there. Tired. Pale. Beautiful. He cracked the window. What are you doing? I couldn't stay away. I whispered. A pause. Then, wait there. 5 minutes later, he came out barefoot. Hoodie half-zipped. Eyes shining. I didn't speak. I just pulled him into me. He held on like he'd been waiting his whole life for that moment. You're crazy, he breathed. Maybe, I said. But you missed me. He smiled, that small, quiet smile that always undid me. We sat on the curb, shoulder to shoulder, not saying much, just breathing the same night air, pretending the world wasn't trying to keep us apart. Then his phone buzzed. "She's up," he murmured. "I have to go." He stood, hesitated. "Write me?" I asked. I never stopped. He turned, eyes soft. "Don't give up on this, even if they do." And then he was gone again. The next morning, I felt everything. Hope, fear, love, guilt, all tangled together. At school, another note, "I want to kiss you again. I think about it every time I fall asleep." Is that wrong? I carried it in my wallet for a week. Because some words deserve to be close to your heart, even if they hurt. Because love doesn't ask permission. It just arrives and demands to be felt. Time passed. October came. Everything became pretend. I pretended to move on. He pretended to be okay. But love doesn't fade when it's real. It just gets quieter. The notes changed, fewer words, heavier silence. "I can't breathe in this house. I miss you more than I thought I could." Then one day he disappeared again. No note, no reason, just gone. Weeks later, a photo appeared in my locker. The old shed, candlelight glowing, his handwriting on the back. "If this is the only place we get to exist, I'll live here forever." That night I went there. The shed hadn't changed. Old wood, faded air. It still held our ghosts. After a while I heard footsteps. He stepped inside, breathless. "You came. So did you." We sat in silence, two souls holding what was left of a story. Then he said softly, "I can't keep living like this." My heart cracked. "You think we should end it?" "I think we already are." We stared at the candle, our last light flickering between us. He whispered, "We go quiet, for now." Those words felt like goodbye. I left without looking back, because if I did, I wouldn't have stopped running toward him. Days turned to months. Winter came. The world froze over, and so did I. Until one morning, I saw him again. Just a glimpse, a car passing by. It was enough to break me all over again. That night, a message lit up my phone. "Are you home?" I stared at it for a minute, heart trembling. Yes. 15 minutes later, he was at my door. Older, tired, beautiful in a way only time could carve. We stood there, silence thick with everything unsaid.
Eu esperat.
He stepped inside, careful, like the air might break. "I'm not staying long," he said. "Okay. I just needed to see you." "Why now?" He swallowed. "Because I can't carry this anymore." And I understood, because I'd been carrying it too. The love, the ache, the memory that refused to fade. He looked down. "I thought pushing you away would make it easier." "Did it?" He shook his head.
No.
I sat across from him, still not touching, still oceans between us. But finally, no more pretending. "I saw you last week, in that car." He blinked. "I saw you too. I just couldn't look long enough." "Why not?" "Because if I did, I'd come back." Silence filled the room. Only the hum of the refrigerator and the sound of our hearts trying to remember what calm felt like. Then, from his jacket, he pulled out something. A note, folded and worn at the edges. "I kept the first one you gave me," he said softly. "The one that said, 'I don't want this to stop.'" He handed it to me. I stared at my own handwriting, faded, but still alive. Then I looked at him, eyes darker now but still the same. "Do you still mean it?" he asked. I didn't answer right away. I wanted to say yes. But what if yes broke us again? What if love wasn't enough now? What if this was just nostalgia wearing a familiar face? "I mean it," I said finally. "But I don't know what means anymore." His expression softened. Not sad, just real. "Me either," he whispered. He took a quiet breath, walked to the kitchen window, and looked out. "Greg doesn't talk to me. Hasn't in months. Grandma thinks I'm possessed or something." I laughed once, dry, hollow. "My mom acts like it was a phase, like we were confused." He turned back to me, I wasn't confused. I met his eyes. Neither was I. Another silence. Then he stepped closer, only a foot between us now. His hand brushed mine, and suddenly I couldn't breathe. Not because I was scared, but because, for the first time in months, it felt like I was really breathing again. I can't do what we did before, I said. He nodded. Me neither. I looked at him, confused, hopeful, terrified. So what do we do? He smiled, soft, tired, but honest. We start over. I didn't ask what that meant. I already knew. Not rushing, not hiding, not pretending this was simple. But also not erasing what we were or what we still could be. We start small. One moment at a time. One truth at a time. One scar at a time. We sat on the couch until 1:12 a.m. Didn't kiss. Didn't touch much. Just talked about school, about dreams, about the things he missed and the things I still couldn't let go of. It was quiet, but it was honest, and sometimes that's more intimate than anything else. Before he left, he asked, "Can I see you again?" I didn't even blink. "Always." He smiled, turned the doorknob, then paused. "You still have that box on your bed?" My chest tightened. "I do. Keep it." "Why?" "Because we're not done filling it yet." And with that, he left. But this time, it didn't feel like the end. Felt like the beginning of something real. Finally, Aiden came back. Not the way I expected. Not all at once. Not with flowers or speeches. Just in pieces. Late-night walks. Shared playlists. Awkward smiles that lasted longer every day. And one morning, he was just there again. Like he'd never really left. We didn't label it. Didn't define it. Because we already knew what the world called us. We'd heard it in the silence of our parents, in the way neighbors looked at us, in the pause after someone said, "Wait, you two are stepbrothers?" But love doesn't care about labels. And we were done apologizing for something that felt real. One Sunday, Mom found us watching a movie on the couch. My head was on his shoulder. His thumb traced slow circles on my palm. And she saw it, all of it. But this time, she didn't flinch. She just stood there, quiet, then said softly, "Dinner's ready. No lecture. No sermon. No we need to talk. Just an invitation to stay." It wasn't approval, but it was something. A beginning. And that was enough. Greg didn't soften, though. Not even a little. He avoided Aiden, spoke to me only when necessary, and made it painfully clear. "This is your choice. Your mess to clean up when it falls apart." But I'd stopped needing his permission. Because sometimes the people who raise you aren't the ones who see you. Aiden started coming by more weekends after school. We kept things quiet. Not out of shame, but to protect what we had. Because people love to ruin what they don't understand. But sometimes we slipped. A glance that lingered too long. A laugh that turned into a touch. A moment in public where the world saw what we tried to hide. One night I posted a photo. Nothing wild. Just us sitting on the hood of his car. Laughing.
No caption. No explanation.
Just the truth. The photo spread faster than I expected. Within 2 days, everyone at school knew. Some were kind. Some weren't. "Isn't that his brother? That's sick. That's messed up." I told myself I didn't care. But I did. Because shame is loud, even when it's wrong. That night, Aiden showed up furious. "You don't owe them anything. You don't have to explain who you love." "I know." "Then why does it still feel like we're doing something wrong?" I didn't have the answer, only the ache. Because we were never taught that this kind of love could be right. He stared at me, eyes red, voice trembling. "But it is right." I nodded. "Yes." That night, he kissed me again. For the first time in months. And it felt like the first time all over again. Like the world had stopped spinning. Like nothing else existed but us. The next morning, Greg was waiting in the kitchen. Aiden walked past him to grab water. Greg cleared his throat. "So, you're just back now?" Aiden looked up. "I guess I am." Greg scoffed. "That's rich. After everything, you just walk in." I stepped in. He was a victim, Greg. So was I. Greg's jaw tightened. "You think love excuses everything?" "No," I said quietly. But fear doesn't excuse what you did either. Silence. Cold and heavy. Then Greg looked at Aiden one last time. Don't expect me to be part of it. He left, and though the door didn't slam, it felt like it did. That was the end of something. The final cut from the life we used to have. A week later, Mom came into my room. She sat on my bed, hands folded, eyes soft. I know I haven't said much, she began. I stayed quiet. When I married Greg, I thought our families would blend. I never imagined this. Neither did I whispered. She smiled faintly. But I see the way you look at him, and I've never seen you more alive. Tears burned my eyes. She reached out, touched my hand. I don't understand it completely, she said, but I want you to be okay, and if he makes you okay, then I'll learn to be okay too. That was it. A quiet blessing. A tiny crack of light. And sometimes, that's all love needs to keep going. Spring came fast. The shed grew wildflowers around its edges. The air grew warmer, and so did we. Not perfect, not fearless, but stronger, more real, more us. On graduation night, we stood behind the bleachers. Crowds cheering. Fireworks beginning. He leaned in and whispered, "If you asked me to run away right now, I would." I smiled. We don't need to run anymore. We held hands, watching the sky explode in color. And for once, there were no shadows, no secrets, no fear. Just two people who dared to love, even when the world told them not to. And we never stopped.